that Kermit the Frog porn that just showed up on the stream? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? What has this community become? Is what I want to know. Sham, what did you do? Merry Christmas, guys. Hope you guys have a relaxing Christmas Eve. We are rapidly approaching the end of the year. Excuse me. Destiny and Mockler debate is pretty cinema. I have not seen a single minute of it. So you guys are going to see my raw, unfiltered reaction. Look what I bought, guys. Can you guys see? You see these little dots on the bottom of the mouse? These are called mouse feet, apparently. And you can buy these little stickers. Well, they're stickers on the bottom side. And then you set them up along the bottom of your mouse. And it glides on the mouse pad like a lot easier. Like it's so much smoother. It's kind of nice. Whoops, what did I just do? What the fuck did I just do? I pressed a button. I didn't mean to do that. What? Hang on. Oh. Wait. There we go. Okay, we're good. Put your mouse directly on the table. What the fuck? That's too smooth. My mouse is going everywhere. No, that's not good. Can't do that. Turn on Tangia? Is it not on? Okay, there you go. Oops. Rory, what's up, buddy? Just popping by. Same to all of you in chat. Enjoy the stream. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hope you have a nice holiday season. It puts mouse feet on the mouse. No way, they're called skates. That's what I meant. Yeah, they're skates. They're mouse skates. Conduit, what's up, buddy? Good morning. Hope you're doing well. How's that video doing, by the way? Okay. I plugged your video on the podcast. I talked about it. I told people to check it out. Oh God, what is that? What is this AI? What is that? Conduit is here to start his I watched 1 week of Hutch video. Oh God, please don't. I would prefer it if you didn't do that. Mac Attack, thanks so much for 45 months. Appreciate it, buddy. Swanee Bird with 8 months. Good morning. Merry Christmas to you. We still gotta go to the store and get some ingredients for tomorrow. Swanee Bird with 20 gifted subscribers. Swanee Bird, Merry Christmas. Thank you. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so much, man. Wow. Holy shit. Grocery store on Christmas Eve, hard pass. It's not ideal. Probably should have gone yesterday, but let me just look up the store hours today. I'm pretty sure they're open until 5, I want to say. They close at 7 tonight. So we got time. We're good. I don't know. Maybe we'll get crazy and watch The Two Towers tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll play it by ear. One Battle After Another is on HBO Max now. So is Eddington. I've been saying for years, I think HBO is probably pound for pound the best streaming service in terms of the content that they host. You get a ton of good value. Keep it on says, I'm at work. This sucks. Oh, sorry to hear that, brother. All right, let's just jump right into it. We're going to watch this video, and then I think we're going to play games a little bit earlier than we normally do. Today's not going to be like an 8-hour stream. Probably like a 5 or a 6-hour stream. Bernie Sanders posted a video, 6.5 minutes. It says, our focus on the new year for the new year in 2026. Let's see what he had to say. Dimmy friend, thank you so much for the gifted sub, buddy. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Appreciate the generosity. Okay.
Thank you all for joining me. And let me wish everybody a very, very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year.
Oh, you can't say Christmas? What's up with that? Can't say Christmas? Would it kill him to say Merry Christmas? Boy, oh boy.
As we come to the end of what has been a very difficult year, I want to say a few words about some of the issues that I hope you will be focusing on next year when Congress reconvenes. And at the top of my list, as it always is campaign finance reform. Because the truth of the matter is, it will be very difficult to do anything significant to improve life for working families unless we get big money and billionaire money out of the political process. It is totally insane, totally unacceptable that in the last presidential election, you had the wealthiest guy in the world, Mr. Musk, putting $270 million into electing Donald Trump as president. But it's not just Republicans. You got Democratic billionaires putting in huge amounts of money into the Democratic Party, helping to determine who that party's candidates will be. We need to get rid of Citizens United, absolutely. We need to move to public funding of elections. So that's at the top of my list. Second of all, we have got to deal.
Oh boy, what would my number one issue be that I want Democrats to focus on in 2026? Dazudanya, sorry I missed you. Thank you so much for $2. Happy holidays to you, man. I mean, if I could just snap my fingers. Shoden, shoot man, thank you so much for 10 gifted subs. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for the generosity. Appreciate you. No, it wouldn't be AI. I think we are at a bit of a crossroads in the country where I feel like if I could snap my finger and just do one thing right now, I think it would be to get rid of the filibuster. Which I don't even feel great about that, but I just feel like that's 100% necessary moving forward. Because the alternative, which I think is the path that we're locked on right now, the alternative is just these volatile pendulum swings. I just feel like we're heading into a new era, like every 4 years, we just go back and forth. And it's just going to be really difficult for Democrats to deliver anything that would be worth running on, you know? Like, it's really difficult to imagine the Democrats like meaningfully delivering like really impactful legislation. And in that case, I just think it's just doomed to go back and forth every fucking 4 years in the new era. I think that's what I would snap my fingers and do if I had the power to do that. Just crap on a stick. You are a moron. Just that action. Wait, where did it go? It's gone. Just that action is just helping fascism. You astronomical dipshit. I don't even... That sentence is really tough on my brain. I don't know how to make sense of that sentence.
With the issue of income and wealth inequality in the United States and the fact that we are rapidly moving toward an oligarchic form of society.
Devoff says, I haven't even owned Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for a week yet, and I have over 30 hours on stream. Oh, I'm sorry, 30 hours. Dude, it's great. Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is fucking amazing game.
It is, again, totally absurd that you have one person, Mr. Musk, who owns more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 93%, while at the same time, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, and millions of children, millions of elderly people are living in poverty, just trying to survive as best they can. So we're living in a moment when the richest people have never...
He keeps repeating that paycheck to paycheck line, 60%, and it's just... He's been saying it for years. It is not true. He keeps repeating it over and over again.
Ever had it so good, while so many people are struggling. Number 3, artificial intelligence. As you may know, I am very concerned about the enormous impact that AI and robotics may have on our country and the world. And it disturbs me very much that there is not more discussion here in Congress or all over this country about what is likely to be happening. And there are many, many concerns dealing with AI and robotics, but certainly at the top of the list is the reality that millions of manufacturing jobs, blue-collar jobs, white-collar jobs, entry-level jobs, jobs that...
Which statistic is not true? It is not true that 60% of people in the United States live paycheck to paycheck. Or rather, it omits very crucial context. Because I don't know about you guys. Tell me what you think. If I tell you that I'm living paycheck to paycheck, how do you interpret that? In your mind, what does that evoke? Advice giver with 78 months. Thank you so much, buddy. In my mind, and tell me if you agree or disagree, maybe it's just a matter of perspective on how we interpret that phrase. But in my mind, when I hear somebody say that they live paycheck to paycheck, I'm thinking that that person is poor. That they are, you know, one bad day away from losing it all. Not necessarily. All right, hang on. Maybe that was not the best way to describe how I interpret that phrase, but okay, hang on. All right. Tell me if you guys agree with this. Okay. So if I hear somebody say they're living the paycheck to paycheck, or they're living paycheck to paycheck, my assumption is that they're barely getting by. They're barely getting by. They're just barely hanging on, right? I think that might be a more accurate way of saying it besides just saying like, oh, they're poor. But the problem with the paycheck to paycheck statistic, and this is something we've talked about a lot on stream, so you regulars, I apologize for repeating myself here, but the paycheck to paycheck statistic, as far as I'm aware, is it is derived from people self-reporting that that's their economic circumstances. So you could have two people within that 60%. Two different people with very drastically different circumstances. Within that statistic, that self-reported statistic, you can have somebody who is, let's say, just starting out in a trade or working at a fast food restaurant, and they do not have they're not accumulating any savings. They barely have enough money to pay rent and all their other bills and buy food every month. Maybe they have a kid, maybe they have 2 kids. Maybe their partner doesn't make a lot of money as well, and they are just quite literally like barely getting by. They have just enough money to sustain the bare necessities, okay? So that person is in the 60%, and then this person over here is also in that 60%. And this person over here, they're making $175,000 a year, living in, I'll make it up, Santa Barbara, California. They're contributing $700 monthly to a 401k. They are building a savings, just a little bit of savings each month. You know, they have thousands of dollars of money, thousands of dollars to spend on travel every single year. But they self-report that they're living paycheck to paycheck. You know, they have a mortgage, they have a home. Maybe they have tens of thousands of dollars in assets. But people will still describe their situation as living paycheck to paycheck. But this statistic has been so thoroughly debunked. You can still make the point that he's making, which is like, I think that there's still an unacceptable level of poverty in the United States. I still think that this represents a policy failure. I still think that we don't actually need to have a society where maybe somebody is just above the Medicaid limit and they don't qualify for healthcare subsidies. And they are truly living paycheck to paycheck, and they have this toxic stress of poverty. And I think it's fucking ridiculous that in the wealthiest nation in the history of nations, you have so many people that are experiencing poverty and stress and adverse health issues because of poverty. And this all represents a policy failure in my mind. You can focus on that without repeating this. I don't know if it's a lie, but massive distortion that 60% of the country are living paycheck to paycheck, because that is just not true. Not in the way that most people think paycheck to paycheck. But yeah, he's been saying this for like 10 years now. I am almost positive that the statistic of 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck came from a payday lender company that commissioned a study. I'm almost positive that that's where that came from. I could be wrong about that. Static Air with $5. Merry Christmas Eve, my shaved friend. As a special gift, instead of saying bald or shaved, you should tell people that you're just taller than your hair. I mean, I have other hair on my body.
At all levels of our society could disappear within the next several years. And what is very disturbing is that AI and robotics are being pushed by a handful of people who happen to be the wealthiest people in the entire world. People like Mr. Musk, people like Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and others. Very multi-billionaires.
Right plate with 2 Canadians, sending you my last $2 for your T-cell meds. Ooh.
And left alone, they will be determining
what the fuck?
The future of humanity. And it's not just economics and job loss. It is what happens when millions of our kids spend a good part of their lives on ChatGPT, getting their emotional support from machines and not other human beings. So it is a huge issue, which needs a lot of discussion. And to my mind, what we need is to have this nation and the Congress debating the issue, the goal of which is to make certain that AI and robotics benefit everybody, not just a handful of billionaires. So this is a huge issue. We need everybody's participation, but it's going to be very high on my to-do lists in the coming year.
Boy, oh boy. I don't think that the wealthy owner class, I don't think it's an option to displace a significant percentage of the workforce without any kind of plan in place to make sure that these people have the means to support themselves, because that's how revolutions happen. If AI comes in and automation comes in the next like 5 years and displaces a quarter of the workforce, 50% of the workforce, and they don't have any fucking plan in place to do anything about it, number one, that is just, if you're looking to make a profit on some kind of a product, I don't know how that's going to work if like 50% of the country can't buy anything. And yeah, number two, this is how revolutions happen. They will get the guillotines out and storm the castle gates, and that will be a very predictable thing that happens if they don't do something about this. If they don't provide for some sort of lateral movement, if they don't replace these jobs with other jobs, if they don't give people the means to, go through vocational training, and like all of that is necessary. Otherwise, there will be a fucking revolution in this country. And it's a little alarming because it feels like, I don't know, this feels like something that we should be super prophylactic about. We should be talking about this and doing something about it like right now. Feels like we're kind of waiting until the 11th hour to address something that will be massively disruptive. Here's the thing, these tech C-suite people don't care about that. They're going to get their millions, billions of profit now and then retire in a few years when all the shit hits the fan. It's like, how does that work if you get, how do you make millions and billions of dollars if the economy is completely destroyed? If we have, 40% unemployment. These things tend to cascade and holistically negatively affect the entire economy. So I just don't even know what that would look like. My stance is it's already happening, which is why we elected Donald Trump. It's already happening, not will happen. Anyone remember J6? You mean like mass displacement? I feel like we're conflating a few things here.
Fourthly, it goes without saying that it is unacceptable that we remain the only major country on earth not to guarantee.
Yeah, I just looked it up, guys. The statistic, the 60% of people living paycheck to paycheck statistic was a survey done by a company called The Lending Club. It's a fucking payday lender commissioned a survey, and that's where he got this 60% number. And I think that statistic is meant to be self-serving for the payday lender. It's like, well, that's why companies like us exist. I thought we like polls though. Well, it depends on the poll, depends on the methodology. Lawyer dude, thanks so much for 7 months. Merry Christmas, Hutch and community. PS, I will need extra eggnog after sitting through that convo you had with Pisco. That was like a 4-hour conversation, bro. That was like, I was so tired by the end of that.
Health care for all. Despite spending twice as much per capita on health care as the people of any other nation, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. We pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Our life expectancy is low.
There's also a little bit of, I don't know, there's also a little bit of omission going on with that statistic as well. Like the reason why we pay more than any other country or any other country in the world. I mean, part of it is the insurance system, obviously a big part of it. But another part of it is because we make more money than most people in the world, most other countries in the world, all other countries in the world, right? Per capita. And also the quality of care in the United States tends to be higher than in other countries. And so there's a little bit of like, you know, he can make the point, I think, in different ways. But
Lower than most other wealthy countries. We don't have enough doctors or nurses or dentists or psychologists. Bottom line, the system is completely broken. And what healthcare should be is a system guaranteeing healthcare to all as a human right in a cost-effective way, not a system designed to make huge profits for the insurance companies, the drug companies, and hospitals. So we have got to be aggressive in going forward for a Medicare for all single-payer system. So those are just some, underlined, some of the issues that I will be dealing with in the coming year. And we need your help on these things. This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And there is no reason why we should not be having the best healthcare system in the world, free and available to everybody, publicly funded, that all of our people should have a decent standard of living, that we should be addressing the housing crisis, that we should be a vibrant democracy, which all people are participating, not one controlled by billionaires, that we utilize AI and robotics to improve life.
my salary in Japan is like 2 times less than the United States. My husband makes 3 times less than his American counterparts in the same profession. In Japan? Damn.
Life for all. So there's a lot of big issues out there, but we need millions of people to be jumping into these issues and to fighting for a government and an economy that work for all.
I would rather focus on education and have the more modest goal of public options. I feel like education is in a more dire situation than healthcare at the moment. I mean, there are some pretty, I mean, it's bleak right now. It's positively dystopian. We have teachers' aides at prestigious universities that are losing their jobs for failing a student who turned in an essay that was a rant about trans people on a topic that had nothing to do with trans people. And that TA got fired from the university. That's fucking dystopian. That's pretty scary. The only reason that's happening is because now every college university needs to worry about this administration, you know, threatening to pull all federal funding. It's fucking insane.
All of us, not just the few. So once again, let me take this opportunity to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year. Thank you.
Okay. Kind of the same greatest hits with a new kind of focus on AI as well. All right, I have not seen this Destiny Mockler debate with MAGA.
Okay, but democracy is not majority rule?
Not always, no. Should Hillary Clinton have been president in the year 2016 of our Lord because she won the popular
No, because
vote?
we are in a democratic republic, not a democracy.
Hold on, wait. Didn't Trump say we should keep doing that, but call it like the Trump shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what the f***?
All you guys are doing is just attacking the other side, but you won't defend your own.
I'm attacking
Well,
the They suck shit. They suck shit. They're horrible. It wasn't necessary for him to do random shit under executive order.
The streets are saying Destiny was tipsy for this. Can we get some confirmations there?
Interrupting me.
I'm not, yeah, because your point is
No, I'm making a
Nijian, thank you so much for the primer. Appreciate it. Thoughts were done with $2. It did come from a payday lender lending club. Isn't that funny? The 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck came from a fucking lending club. Came from a fucking lending club? I'm sorry, that's funny. Right Plight, I think I already got you. Static Air, did I get you? Camp, I think I might have missed you. Thanks so much for 17 months. Majin Arthur, thanks so much for 90 months. I think I missed you. Advice Giver with 78 months.
Okay, so we'll open up with some statements. If you guys disagree with them, feel free to line up on the left here. You want to start it off, Adam?
We're going to do questions in about 3 or 4 minutes. We're just going to do some opening statements about how we feel about the Trump admin thus far. We are 11 months into the second Trump term, and it's been an unmitigated disaster. We have repeated acts of authoritarianism to try to consolidate power heading into the midterms because their policy, everything they've done is so incredibly unpopular. Right now, the Republicans are trying to rig the midterms by redistricting Texas and multiple other states. The reason why they are doing that is because all of their policy has been an abject failure. We can look at the economy where unemployment is up, inflation is up since Biden left office, youth unemployment is uniquely up, black unemployment is up even more, which is an early indicator of a weakening job market. The tariff regime has been an absolute mess. Donald Trump, roughly a month ago, removed the tariffs on beef, which is a concession that the tariffs do increase prices for consumers. Why the hell else would he remove the tariffs for beef if they didn't increase prices? So the tariffs have been a mess. He claims that he's
I find the background chatter a little distracting. I don't know about you guys.
brought in all this money he hasn't brought in. The immigration policy has been even worse. We can have a debate about the border and how people feel about that, but the interior enforcement has been so damn unpopular. I don't know how you defend 80-year-old women getting their ribs cracked because they're thrown on the ground by ICE agents who are clearly undertrained. So we're seeing this happen in the interior enforcement and the economy.
Somebody mentioned the erudite debate with a Christian nationalist. And I am going to watch that as well today, by the way. Thank you for reminding me, but yeah.
Epstein files. I'm sure I missed a lot of issues like no new wars and then going to war, or at least striking boats in Venezuela and putting a no-fly zone over Venezuela. A lot of issues in the first Trump admin have been dog shit for the Trump admin. And with that, if you disagree with anything we said, we can start doing the audience questions over there. Yeah. Quite a line. There we go. I know that's a line over there.
No, they're just watching.
Lending Club offers personal loans, not payday loans. Lending Club, I'm pretty sure I got a Lending Club loan when I was in the grips of a crippling gambling addiction. I'm pretty sure there's still like really predatory interest rates. I could be wrong about that. These are like one of these lending places that it's like, yeah, it's like 25-30% interest or something like that.
I think they're just watching. Wow, everyone's scared?
Corey, what do you think about the Trump admin?
You guys are too intimidating.
What I mean, yeah, I mean the Trump admin sucks so far. It's indefensible. I think that's why like 90% of Trump will spend most of their time talking about girl cock and whatever else. Yeah, there we go. We got some trans lovers in the audience. That and Lake and Riley and yeah, I don't know. Debating any trouble on substance right now is basically impossible. I feel like one of the reasons why their counterculture movements, like the Gorpis and everybody, are getting so popular is because Trump is so indefensible on literally all policy and all fact that you can basically just have whatever position you want. I will admit it's a guilty pleasure of mine watching Ben Shapiro flounder like crazy on stage when he realizes that everybody doesn't love Israel or Jews as much as he does. And he's like, wait a second, okay, blacks, trans people, all of this, it was okay, but like I draw the line in Israel. Here. Yeah, not okay. Okay, you want to bomb Venezuela and Mexico, sure, but like cutting off support from Israel, I don't know about that one.
Vivek too. Vivek is like, you can make fun of everyone else, but the Indian hate, it's a little bit too far.
That's true, which is why we're all hyped for J.D. Vance's new marriage soon to the Queen, Erica, right? It's coming up soon, right?
Got our first question here. Speak loudly, please.
How's it going? My first question is, how is it simply a reminder for the seditious six to say that it's not unlawful to disobey unlawful orders, but it's not just a reminder by Trump to say what sedition is, to remind people what sedition is? How is that different?
Well, what they, quote unquote, what Alyssa Slotkin and the other 5 representatives and senators
I don't even understand what he just said.
Did was quote the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The Uniform Code of Military Justice says explicitly you must disobey unlawful orders and you must obey lawful orders.
You know, I just find Adam to be so fucking impressive. I've gassed him up so many times on the stream, but his work ethic is something that I find admirable. He very clearly does his homework. He's showing up on these CNN panels and just dog walking political pundits that have been like political actors or operatives for decades, you know? Like there was a clip of him recently dog walking Scott Jennings on CNN. There's like several clips like that, to be honest with you. He's just fucking crushing it, man. He's like 23 years old. That's the other thing too. Like he's impressive, man. He's like, of all the Gen Z political commentators, like Parker and Dean and all those guys, like I think like he is for sure the most impressive.
Statements that the vice president made. He absolutely came out and condemned and said that there is no place for any comments like that in the Republican Party.
JD Vance said he's going to warn his kids so some quote-unquote scumbag doesn't leak a group chat in a similar way. He was implying the person who leaked the group chat was a scumbag. JD Vance has had the farthest thing from moral clarity this entire time. And listen, do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Sure.
Do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Yeah, we've debated.
Do you know what? Okay, so do you know what Paul Ingrassia said?
Yeah, we've debated.
That he has a Nazi streak. Oh, you've debated it, but has Trump fired him, or is he still a part of the administration?
I don't know where he is right now.
He's a part of the administration, and you know that. You're lying right now. You know that he is a part of the administration. He is still there, and he said he, quote, has a Nazi streak. So you can sit there and play coy, but you are not having the clarity that you are talking about right now. Do you condemn Paul Ingrassia?
I certainly condemn anything.
Should Trump fire Paul Ingrassia?
Approximating having a Nazi streak.
The Republicans just have a part.
I'd like to report a murder. I mean, this kid is just, I call him a kid. He's like 23, 24 years old, but yeah, he's got such a gentle face, you know? Like he's got the face of somebody who would just like give you a well-needed hug if he saw that you were having a bad day, but he's a fucking murderer.
So it's not sedition to quote that. The Trump argument is that they are using that as a
When are you going to have him on the podcast? I think he's been on Live and Learn in the past. We should invite him on again. We're at a point now where we need to start having like repeat guests. Yeah.
Text to tell soldiers to disobey future orders, but that's a shit argument too, because then we saw that Pete Hegseth may have given illegal orders to do his second strike in the Caribbean Ocean. So there are cases where illegal orders should not be followed. And then regarding the latter half of your question, I wouldn't say that what Trump was doing was sedition when he was defining sedition. Sorry, I don't get the last half of your question.
Just reminding people the punishment for sedition. Why couldn't we just say that?
Well, I think, so the issue is, I know this is really hard, but like for the Trumples, okay, the issue is one of fact, right? So double tapping people that are shipwrecked in the ocean is in fact illegal. You can't do that. It's illegal.
Moomin, thank you so much for 13
under
months.
U.S. law, it's illegal. Under international law, basically anybody that has anything in the water recognizes the illegality of this. It's not illegal to remind people not to follow illegal orders. It's a core part of being in the military. You pledge allegiance to the Constitution, not to some crazy presidential guy. So the idea that we can see like clearly illegal acts happening and that people can say, hey, you don't have to follow legal orders, I think is a lot different than Trump saying maybe we should hang my political opponents because of seditious conspiracy when they haven't really done anything, I would say, that rises to the level of seditious conspiracy. I think if we had like military people, examples of them not following orders because of what politicians were saying, it'd be maybe stronger, but we do have like examples of at least one strike that was like very clearly against international humanitarian law and against like U.S. military law. So
can I answer the second part of your question? Because I do get what you're saying. The problem with the president of the United States proactively saying something is sedition and they should be quote unquote, he said, hang them, George Washington would. Now this was a retruth that the president did. He's without a trial, without any due process, he's being the judge that they committed sedition.
We're going to skip ahead just a little bit in this video.
That they should be hung. So I just don't think it's okay for the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, who has a lot of sway, to be saying that people...
Trump into the 2024 election. So I have a question. Since January 6th and the revival of the MAGA party and Trump into the 2024 election, I felt I've been pushed more to the left and well away from the center, which is like where I can kind of consider myself like a long period of time. I look at my Republican family and my friends and like question or wonder why and how they can continue to support this. Do you think this is like a uniquely diverse time in American politics, or have like I become like chronically online?
I think this is, I don't know about you guys, but like, I think this is probably a very common occurrence. It happened to me. And this was before I was super online. Like my political awakening, I guess you could say, started when I was 18 years old after September 11th. And I wasn't spending that much time online compared to these days. Like smartphones hadn't even been a thing at that point yet. And I remember feeling very fucking depressed about my country and the people that I knew, and I was very angry at people for supporting Bush, like W. And boy, did it get like dark. So I don't think this is like I don't think this is a novel kind of thing that he's describing. It can be really painful. You know, you come into adulthood and you start learning about a little bit more about how the world works, how the country works, and you just feel kind of disgusted. And that's not a fun place to be. And so I don't know this kid, but I hope he finds a way like out of that. Because I feel like it kind of colors everything in a really bad way. Bad Company with $5. I knew Mockler was a real one when he took down his Hassan Detained video after he saw through the BS. I didn't hear about that.
What's the first part of that? You felt like the Democrats have gone further left? Was that the first part of your question, or?
No. I have been pushed further left because of like January 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a unique time in that the issue right now you have is on the left, they're still doing like politics and like governance and like doing things that you would expect Congress and politicians to do. But on the right, it's basically become like a reality TV freak show where it's like, what's Trump going to say? You know, what wacky catchphrase is he going to utter today on TV? And I mean, I feel like you kind of saw in some of the debates earlier today, like none of the people up here seem very serious in defending Trump because his policies are basically indefensible. You know, like Mike Johnson has been, you know, screwed more than any politician in America. He was hung out to dry on that Epstein stuff, and there's a lot of grumbling.
I love it when Grandpa Hutch gives me life advice. Well, here's how I fucked up when I was young. Here's how I fucked up, because I saw George W. Bush. I saw the Bush administration. I saw the Republican media apparatus bang the drums of war, foment a culture of rage and fear, and I watched my country bomb the living shit out of Iraq and completely destabilize that country. And I looked around at all the people that were supporting that, and I thought, man, these people are fucking evil. Like I'm surrounded by evil people. And I think the mistake that I made back then was there was like this assumption, I guess it was kind of narcissistic when I look back on it, but like I made this assumption that everybody was super plugged in. So I was just obsessed with that administration and the pretense that they were coming up with to go to war and all that stuff. And so I was watching the news every day. I was consuming news every day. I was reading the paper every day. Back in my day when we had actual papers, like I was reading fucking the paper every day, and I was just super plugged in. And I think my assumption was like, I thought everybody else was just as plugged in. And so everybody was seeing what I was seeing in terms of the inconsistencies and the contradictions and the spurious nature of their claims. Is that right? Spurious? Specious? Spurious? What's spurious? Spurious. Not being what it purports to be, false or fake. I mean, I guess either specious or spurious works here. Specious is superficially plausible, but actually wrong. Specious would be more appropriate here. And so I just thought like everybody in the country was just like these virulent racists who wanted blood for blood's sake. And the reality was, and still is, most people do not pay attention. Politics is now more a part of our lives in the 21st century, with social media and the way that politics has bled into culture in a much more pervasive way. Like, politics was a part of like pop culture when I was growing up, but it wasn't like this. Like, now it's a bit more pervasive. But even with all that, the vast majority of people who engage with politics, it's extremely casual, skimming headlines kind of a situation. And so I think a better way to look at things is like, okay, I could be mad at these people for not being as engaged as I think they should be. I could judge people pretty harshly. I could think that I'm surrounded by a country of evil people. And, that would be a choice that I would make, but I would be pretty miserable doing that. And in fact, I was pretty miserable when I was approaching life that way back then. And now I'm much more, it doesn't get under my skin like it used to, because I started to understand that, most people like just don't have the kind of time that I do to stay as engaged. Like, I'm 42 years old. I don't have any kids. Don't have any kids. I'm self-employed. I make my own hours. I work from home. I have a lot of freedom. And it just so happens that I actually stay engaged with politics as a part of my job. Like, I literally get paid indirectly for doing this. 99% of the country are not in that position. Most people have kids by a certain age, and they are not working in a field where they get paid to stay engaged with politics. And so when you start realizing that most people just don't engage in that way, that can be angering sometimes, like that can be upsetting sometimes, but it puts a different spin on it. So instead of people being evil, it's like, well, no, they're probably just really fucking busy. They have kids, they have careers. How many people want to, after working an 8-hour shift and then, picking their kid up from school or going to one of their sports games or going to a fucking PTA meeting or just any number of the responsibilities daily responsibilities that these people have. How many people after all of that is done want to, climb into bed, pull out their phone and just devour politics? Like, I don't fucking blame people for wanting to tune out. Touch. So you're basically Asmongold, but with a partner and without the cringe. That's one way to put it. I don't think I would put it that way. Do you guys know what I mean? Did any of you guys go through a similar situation? I used to be really angry at the world. I felt like we were all complicit in our own way. I felt like I lived in the worst country on earth. Click says, I don't agree, but I understand. If only they fully tuned out, but instead they get small pieces of info and turn into MAGA Trump supporters because they don't actually understand anything. That's a bit broad for me. I can forgive ignorance, but not caring and actively rooting for evil is different. I'm not talking about like the diehard MAGA people. I'm talking about, 40-year-old dude in fucking Pennsylvania, who doesn't really keep up with politics all that much, doesn't have a lot of time. Maybe they have a couple kids, working class, had more money in the bank, and their money went further when Trump was president during the first term, deciding to vote for Trump for a second term. I am much less judgmental of that kind of archetypical voter than I was when I was younger. I don't, immediately assume that that Trump voter is like an evil piece of shit. Whereas, 20-year-old Hutch would have been very judgmental of that person. I might have even said some stupid shit in person. I was just very antagonistic back then too. Like I would press people on politics pretty aggressively in person. Like I was pretty obnoxious. I was pretty fucking obnoxious looking back. But hey, listen. You live and learn. That was an essential part of my development. Space Limey, I'm from Pennsylvania. There's a lot of those types of people here. There's fucking millions of those types of people in this country. There's millions of people who don't really stay up to date every day with politics because they just don't really have a lot of time. Hutch, ignorance is pure, unadulterated evil, didn't you know? I used to think that way. I really did. I used to think that way. I was pretty insufferable. When I was, 20 to 25, I was pretty fucking insufferable. I got to tell you guys. I never wasted a minute that could have been spent villainizing someone to their face, I was very, very antagonistic. I think that's why I get triggered so much by the online Twitter lefties. Because I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, you don't get it. You're me. I did that. There's a part of me that's like, I did what you're doing. And it made me fucking miserable. And I will never go back to that. I don't miss those years. Zero Cool returns. Hutch, those same 40-year-old dudes talk nonstop about trans people? I mean, okay, we're getting a little broad here. Sato, thanks so much for 4 months. Appreciate it. I've been there. It sucks, but it's a choice. Yeah, it is. It is a choice. Yeah. I mean, it took me a really long time to get out of that. Yeah. Yeah, Loner was talking about that when he came on the pod. The Council of Dads. That's a thing in the US too, for sure. Video, resume. All right, Grundy.
Of representatives in Congress on the Republican side who are like, does Trump even know that we fucking exist? And every time Trump comes out and he brags like, well, I can fix the border and I can fix drugs and I can fix all these things without even using Congress. What he's really saying is I don't know how to use Congress. When everything, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So in terms of being pushed further left, I just think the issue is that right now the right has literally no principled policy positions on anything. We've seen people on the right do things that we could never imagine, whether it's supporting new forms of taxation like tariffs, or whether it's sometimes being incredibly dovish, saying we shouldn't be involved in any foreign wars, or sometimes being incredibly hawkish, like we're assassinating Venezuelan nationals. Like there's just no principled foundation. I think that's why you're seeing a lot